Greetings, class. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most high. I welcome you to this presentation. It's the first in the series, which is on project finance, and we are going to focus on risks based on the project life cycle as we are deciding to. So the learning objectives are that by the end of this session, it's expected that the learner should be able to construct the basic project finance structure, be able to identify project players, be able to distinguish and discriminate risks associated with projects, be able to link projects with the project finance decision, and apply risks to the extended project lifecycle. Now the warning is that some things may be presented in this show, while other things may not be presented, and it's for the learner to be able to research further and be able to put things together. Here. The outline is that we start with introduction, we go to project parties, and we now look at the extended project life cycle. It's semi, that is why the candidate is supposed to now look for the full extended project life cycle. Now this can be done by searching texts from Meredith and Mentor 2009, 2012, 2015, a number of editions, latest editions of text on project management will give you the extended project life cycle. A number of researchers have come up with this, and so the learner should be. In the introduction, we are saying that each project participant has a different perspective on the risk of the project, and that the perspective is based on the role that has been played. For example, the bank will have its own perspective, the government will have its own perspective on taxes, the contractor will have its own perspective on contracts and stuff like that. This perspective definitely is going to impact the appetite, the risk appetite for each participant, and so it's known therefore that the risks are very subjective. Thus, it depends on the condition of the player at that particular time. One acceptable condition may not be acceptable to another, and so this is important for us to discuss as we look at project finance. That is why in the boardroom, when financing these projects, it's always a big battle because everybody got to be convinced from one perspective. Risk identification and knowledge of the participant is therefore very important decision. Now, these are potential players, not all of them mentioned, but a number of them are covered. There's the project sponsor, these are the parties that may find or start a project. There's construction and permanent lender. This could be the ones that only finance during construction, and then there are those that can lend the project from start to the end. Even in operation, they can be the financiers. There's a contractor, there's the operator, there's a supplier, there's off-taker, there's a government, and there are equity investors. So these are a number of project parties that will take part on a typical project. This model gives an example of this perspective of a project party or project parties put together in one model, and they're all going into the plant. So if you look at the arrows, they're all directed to the plant because the bank is taking part on the project, the supplier is taking part on the project, the contractor, the owner of the project, the operator, the government are all taking part on this project. And this model is basically an example of a power project because the output is power that the off-taker is supposed to. Therefore, the extended project life cycle usually has many parts, but for this one, we are only concerned with the semi, which starts with construction stage, startup stage, and operation. Now, in terms of construction stage, the risks involved include the sponsor risk, the siting and permit risk, the completion risk, the contractor experience risk, the contractor supplies risk, the cost overrun risk, and a number of other risks not mentioned here. But these are critical and important for the project finance decisions, because if these risks materialize, it means that the project will not be able to complete, and that's where it will not be able to operate, finance, or repay the loan. Now, there comes a time when the project is complete and we have to go into startup. Sometimes we rush to start the project before it's complete. We start because we want to start paying back the loans, start paying for certain things, that getting money, and that makes us sometimes to start operating a project that is not fully ready to operate, and that has challenges because it can eventually affect what happens in terms of cash flows for the project. From there, we move to the operational risk. The operational risk, these are risks that we now face when we are operating the project. It's completed, it's commissioned, and it's been given or handed over to the operator, to the owner of the project, or the party that could be contracted to operate. And so this includes operating risk, performance risk, raw material risk, off-take risk, counterparty risk, technology risk, legal risk, country risk, political risk, and the list is long. Now, each one of these risks is particular and is of particular importance to the project finance decision, because if they materialize, they can affect the ability of the project to raise enough money, like it is seen in bullet number 2, performance risk. These other risks may affect the project's ability to generate money, and thus affect its ability to be able to pay back the money that has been put up in the project finance deal. So these risks are important. Country risk, again, can affect the ability of the project to operate, especially if it involves things that are force majeure, for example, insurrection, civil strife, maybe earthquake and stuff like that. Political risk, when politics are bad in the country and they are raising tension, which can result into civil war. These are things and issues that will affect the project. Off-take and sales risk, this is where we may not be able to find a buyer of our goods. For example, right now, this is April 21st, and you'll find that in terms of oil, in America, it's about $0 per barrel. So you may reach such a situation where you can't find a buyer because there's no demand for the product. So these are things that affect the project, and the project financier in the boardroom there has to be aware of these things because they're important. This is where we end today's lesson, and we shall meet in the next presentation. Thank you very much.